What is going on, guys? It is the Superfans Sports Spiel, episode 5. Today, we are joined by Deacon, aka tingzz.sports. Give him a round of applause, Nick.
Okay, I'll give a round of applause to myself, but
Yeah, for sure. Deacon, how was your Thanksgiving week and how'd it go?
I mean it was pretty good. I the Cowboys lost, so it made it pretty much better. I had Antonio Gibson in fantasy, and he had got me 36. So, overall it's pretty good. Well, are we including the Saturday,
Well,
this past weekend?
everything.
Oh, okay. Well, Penn State actually won a game, and Penn
Yeah,
State basketball, and so both Penn State won. Villanova
yeah,
lost. I hate Villanova, so they lost.
there you go.
Because all my friends are Villanova fans, and they're always giving me so much crap about how bad Penn State is, and then just seeing them lose has made me so happy. I don't know why.
Exactly. It doesn't get better than that. But yeah, we got a lot of football to talk about, a lot of basketball to talk about. A lot of stuff happened this weekend. So let's get right into the NFL action. So obviously, you're talking about Cowboys went down to the Redskins, and then obviously we saw the Giants win against the Bengals yesterday. So that puts the Giants in the lead of the NFC East. How are you feeling as an Eagles fan being in that division?
to me, to me, to me, the Giants are the last team I want to win. I would rather just get like a top 5 draft pick, but I would not mind Washington winning the division because it's mostly like the fans, because Washington fans are really chill, but the Giants fans, they have no chill. They would I literally, like, once the Giants win, I get DMs from Scott right after the game. And so they just have, like, I can't imagine, because they've been suffering for so long not winning anything, and then when they finally win the division, they're gonna go crazy. So, to me, the Eagles have one of the toughest schedules. They play Seattle obviously tonight, at Green Bay, the Saints, at the Cardinals. I mean, we have a really tough schedule to finish the season, and then we finish off with 2 division games at Dallas, and then at home versus Washington. So I think we're probably gonna win those last two games. So other than that, I think the Giants are probably gonna win the division, because I think, like, I really like what the Giants are doing with Joe Judge. I think he's a pretty good coach. And Washington, they have a great defense, and Antonio Gibson obviously balled out. So I think it's between those two, and the Cowboys are just terrible. So I think it's between those two. But overall, if we can somehow get Micah Parsons in the draft, I'm a big Penn State fan. I saw him play last year. He opted out, and I would die to have him on my team. So I think the Eagles just need, I think, top 5 draft talent more than they really need to win this division and get killed in the first round.
Yeah, for sure. I think Washington's a really interesting team. I think if they had a good quarterback besides Alex Smith, I think they would be
Yeah,
easily winning this division. Their defense is awesome. Antonio Gibson is awesome. Terry McLaurin is awesome.
they just need a quarterback. I mean, if they get a good quarterback, they can. I mean, they're probably gonna run this division. I think them and the Giants. I don't really know what the Giants need. Like, Daniel Jones is good when he wants. Like, Daniel Jones is, like, kind of like on and off sometimes. He wasn't terrible. I mean, he got hurt, obviously. He might come back, but I mean, Alex Smith is a veteran, but he's still not that great. So I don't really know. I think what for Washington, like, they're a quarterback away, and for the Giants, I just think that they're just not blowing leads, because if you look at their games, almost every single game they played, they've had a lead. Against the Bucks, they were up, what, 14-3 at halftime, something like that, and they lost. Against the Eagles, there's, what, 3 minutes left, they're up by 11 and they lose. And then against who else? I think of more games. Against Dallas, they're up, they lose. Like, the Giants just need to finish games, and if they can actually finish games, they'll be a pretty good team. I mean, the Giants fight to the end, but if you can't finish games, it doesn't matter how much you lose by. Like, losing by 30 is not that much worse than losing by 2, because in reality, you still lose. So I think the Giants just need to finish games. I think Washington just needs a quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that Washington defense is really good. They're probably, what you said, a quarterback away, and they tried to get it in Haskins, but Haskins sucks. He's now the backup, not even starting for them.
third string,
I
I
mean,
think,
to me,
technically.
to me, that wasn't even that bad of a pick, because if you look at going into the draft, Haskins was I'd say, at least second behind Kyler Murray in quarterbacks. And when the Giants took Daniel Jones, it was shocking. So after that, we thought, okay, Cincinnati with the 11th pick, they're going to take Haskins, and he kept falling and falling. And with how good he was in college, you really can't blame the Redskins for taking him for how good he was in college, and also the fact that he fell. Like, if they were to spend like a high pick and they passed up on the really good pieces, then it would be a bad pick. But since they were all the way down at 15 and they got someone who came off an amazing college season with 50 touchdowns, I mean, you can't really blame Washington for risking that. I mean, you can't really blame them. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Nick, I'd like to hear from you. How did the Niners win a football game this weekend?
I mean, they came out hot. There was just a bunch of takeaways. There was like 5 in the entire game. Kyle Shanahan drew up a nice game, just running the ball, easy passes for Nick Mullins. Deebo Samuel had one of his best games of his career, had like 13 catches for over 100 yards. And it was all basically behind the line of scrimmage and him just getting extra yards himself. Nick Mullins really didn't do anything. Nick Mullins still sucks, but I just think we have the Rams number. We know how to match up against them. The Rams, I don't see them being a good team. I see them getting knocked out first. Maybe they make it to the second round. I just don't think they're a good team. Their offense is pretty bad. Aaron Donald's he's up there for the defensive player of the year, but Jared Goff's really holding them back, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like Jared Goff decides whether he wants to win or lose. Because I feel like against the Niners, he just like I feel like he's a 49ers fan. Like he just plays bad. Like what do you have? 5 turn? No, like at least like what?
He had a fumble and 2 interceptions. One terrible interception. Like he thought Richard Sherman was one of his receivers, right to him. He had a fumble. He's from California, so maybe he is a Niners fan.
I mean, I've been saying
went to college in California.
I've been saying this ever since that first Niners-Rams game. The Niners, the biggest problem is injuries, obviously, because they've had injuries on top of injuries on top of injuries. I mean, it's impossible to win a division. But if you look at the Niners, when they're healthy, they're pretty dangerous. As you see, they got Deebo back, they got Richard Sherman, Mostert, and then they win. They beat a pretty good Rams football team who was undefeated at home going into that game. So I think if the Niners can get healthy, they can go back to being that dominant team in the NFC if they can stay healthy.
I think they're a quarterback away, honestly. I don't see Jimmy Garoppolo doing much next year. We can trade him, release him, and we'd only take over like $4 million. So maybe we go after a quarterback in the draft or trade for a quarterback. So I don't know.
I think best case scenario for the Niners is to draft a quarterback and keep Garoppolo, have him stay there for a few games, mentor whoever they draft, and hopefully develop a nice quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, Deacon, what are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts potentially getting reps tonight under the center?
Here's the thing, right? So we all know Wentz has been terrible this year. To me, Wentz is a problem, but he's not the problem. We have so many, as an Eagles fan, Wentz has sucked, but we have so many more problems than just Carson Wentz. We don't have the receivers. We don't have our linebackers are terrible. We always draft like 50 linebackers every year and they never pan out. I think Wentz has bad decision making, but he has one play a game where you're like, wow, he really made that play. Like last year against Washington, where he's scrambling and then he has that one throw in the back of the end zone. I mean, good. And then against the Niners this year, he had that one beautiful pass to Fulgham. He shows flashes that he can make elite plays, but he's just too reckless. And I think he's kind of like a Brett Favre type guy. Like too many interceptions. I mean, but Brett Favre was a playmaker. Wentz is a playmaker. But sometimes he tries to do too much. And with Jalen Hurts maybe coming into the game, I don't really see an asset other than running the football that Hurts has over Wentz. Maybe accuracy, but I don't really see Jalen Hurts as a competent starting quarterback in the NFL, to be honest. I really don't see it.
Maybe Hurts takes a little bit less sacks. That's one positive because Carson Wentz likes going down onto the ground. Yeah, so we had a lot of crazy just storylines around the NFL. Let's talk about the Steelers-Ravens game that's supposed to happen tomorrow night. I don't think it's going to happen. Ravens have like 20-something guys on the COVID list. Is Lamar Jackson even going to be – is there any way Lamar Jackson's –
I think he's positive still.
Yeah, so he's not playing. probably going to see the GOAT Trace McSorley out there at some point.
No, Trace McSorley also tested positive.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's going to be RG3.
Yeah, Robert Griffin's going to be out there. I mean, let's face it. I'm getting alerts left and right saying that by the hour, this game is looking less likely. Ravens still have to come back completely negative from all the rest of their players. The Ravens don't even have Mark Andrews for tomorrow. No Willie Snead, no Mark Ingram, no J.K. Dobbins. I mean, it's going to be Gus Edwards and RG3 running the show.
And
They haven't been able to practice either.
Seth Roberts and Marquise Brown.
Yeah. I don't know how they could possibly think that they could play tomorrow night if the practice facilities were shut down today. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even know the last time the Niners the Ravens met up and actually saw each other. So that was crazy. Speaking of COVID, we also saw COVID strike the Broncos QB room, and they had to roll out with Kendall Hinton at quarterback. He completed one pass. They lost 31-3 to the Saints, who also had a tight end at quarterback in Taysom Hill. I mean, I think it's unbelievable that the NFL made the Broncos and Saints play that game.
Yeah,
Yet they're letting the Ravens push back this game until they're finally healthy, and that's what it's going to look like if they have another case by this afternoon. The game's not going to be played.
You can't really blame Kendall Hinton, I think it's his name, because this guy was a practice squad receiver that just found out that he was starting at quarterback the day before the game. Like he was probably just chilling on the practice squad, and then John Elway goes up and says, "Hey, you're gonna start at quarterback," and he's a receiver. Like, you can't expect a practice squad receiver to all of a sudden turn into a good quarterback, like, on the spot. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure. It was just a mess. I don't think the Broncos had any chance to win this game. I understand that the Broncos, the QB room, they weren't wearing masks, so that's why the NFL said, well, suck it up. You guys messed up the protocols. Now you have to go play a football game. But, I mean, I feel like if this was any other team than the Broncos, if this was a playoff contending team, this wouldn't have happened. I think the NFL just said, you guys suck, so you guys can go play a football game.
Yeah, like, to me, that's not fair about the NFL, what they do, because they're basically basing off of, like, the conditions of a team based off of how good they are, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I guarantee you, if the Ravens or the Steelers or the Chiefs were to have this issue, the NFL would have pushed it back. The NFL would have pushed it back. They would have found a date to have these teams play. But instead, the NFL makes the Broncos snatch some random dude who isn't even a quarterback off their practice squad and play an NFL football game against the New Orleans Saints. I mean, you can't just. I mean, the NFL was completely unfair about that.
Yeah, it really sucks. I mean, not that I think too many Broncos fans are upset that they lost. I think they're trying to get a good draft pick, but just seems kind of unfair. I mean, is there anything else about the week in the NFL you guys want to talk about? I mean, we saw the Browns almost lose to the Jaguars. Patriots beat the Cardinals. Dolphins demolished the Jets. I guess Mahomes beat Brady. So there's that.
I want to point out that I predicted the Rams and the Patriots winning.
Well, the Rams didn't win
both those games, like both those upsets. I'm pretty sure they were upsets. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was that last minute call. It was a penalty flag on Isaiah Simmons in the Patriots game. It was a hit on Cam Newton. Clearly, he was still in bounds. I think maybe they called it on the helmet to helmet, but they threw a flag for a personal foul, set the Patriots up for perfect field goal range, and Nick Folk nails the 50-yarder, and they get the win.
To me, that was more of a helmet to helmet than a late hit, because, like, in NFL, like, even if he slightly stepped out of bounds, like, the second he gets hit, you can't really ask an NFL player to stop their momentum when the guy's barely out of bounds. So I think I would have thrown the flag, but for helmet to helmet, because he clearly led with his helmet and hit Cam Newton in the head. So
Yeah, I think the NFL is just becoming. It's hard to watch sometimes because we'll go back to that Chiefs Buccaneers game. Both Brady and Mahomes had flags for against the defense when Frank Clark did this twice. He came in on Tom Brady and just like lightly like kind of hit his helmet, and it's a 15-yard penalty, roughing the passer, first down. Someone on the Buccaneers, I think it was JPP. JPP did the same thing to Mahomes. JPP ends up taking off his helmet, screaming, he's pissed, and it's just like, I get it that it's a rule, and like the player should be smarter, like just don't touch their helmet, but it's just like we're just giving out free first downs for the offense. I mean, can we give some help to the defense at any point here?
yeah, and I think the NFL is I say more biased to the offense, like the way they officiate games, because obviously the defense is gonna get called for more flags, because I mean I just feel like the league is biased because they want to show like a game where teams score. That way, they get more views. Like people like watching shootouts, but no one likes to watch like the Rams Super Bowl, like 13-3. I mean, like no one likes to watch that.
That was a brutal Super Bowl, absolutely brutal, especially if you're rooting for the Rams, which I think almost everyone in America was. It was bad. I mean, I guess we're gonna talk about any other NFL game. It's got to be Bears versus Packers, and as a Bears fan, I mean, I'm not even that frustrated. Here's why. Because I had little to no expectations for the Bears. I thought maybe they'd go 9-7 at best, maybe sneak into the playoffs. Then obviously they go 5-1, and you're just like, wow, maybe this team can make the playoffs, and maybe they win a game. And then you see them lose 5 straight, and you're just like, yep, this is what we expected. I mean, it all just goes back to Trubisky. If we draft Mahomes or Watson, I'm not even that mad about Mahomes, because I feel like at the time, I don't think anyone had these high expectations for Mahomes, but I think Watson was just he was the obvious number one quarterback in that draft at the time. He led Clemson to a championship. He was on every nationally televised game. Everyone knew the name. Everyone knew how talented he was. And then we picked Trubisky. I just didn't understand it at all. And now here we are. Looks like we're going to have to blow it all up, restart, draft another quarterback, and go through all hell again. So it's just frustrating. And Nagy is out here on the press conferences calling out everyone but himself. And it's just like, I'm really a Matt Nagy supporter. I really am. I think he gets a lot of hate, and I hate to see that, because I think he was a major contributor to our 2018 playoff run and how he built up the culture. But now he's just ruining the culture. He can't call a play for his life. And the defense was horrible last night, and that's just simply because Akeem Hicks wasn't there. And we rely heavily on Akeem Hicks. If we don't have Akeem Hicks, anyone can just run all over us. But yeah, just frustrating to be a Bears fan right now. But it's also not, because we have low expectations as always.
Yeah.
All right, so do we want to talk about NBA a little bit? Talk about the draft?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so the three of us all came up with a top 5 list. We're doing top 5 steals of the NBA draft. Let's start. We'll start with 5. End up with 1. Does anyone want to go first? Talk about who you had in your top 5 and why.
So we're gonna go. So I'm gonna say my 5. Like you say your 5, and then Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my 5th steal is Tyrell Terry going 31st to the Mavs. A lot of rumors had him going 21 to the Sixers, and a lot of mock drafts, I should say. And he's just an amazing offensive threat. I mean, he can dribble, he can shoot. I mean, he can do pretty much everything, like when he's on offense. So that's my 5th steal, and that's my 5th
right.
steal.
Yeah, I like that. I think a lot of people were comparing him to Tyler Hero and how he was being slept on a little bit. No one was really talking about him, and then he ended up dropping. And did the Sixers end up drafting him and then trading him, or is that someone else?
No. So the Mavericks, I think, traded with the Mavericks trade. No, because the Mavericks originally had that pick where they took him. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Nick, you want to give your fifth steal?
Yeah, I'll go. At number 5, I had Cole Anthony. He fell out of the lottery, and a lot of people had him like around the lottery. He fell to the Magic with the 15th pick. He's like an athletic guard who's a great finisher. He knows how to find a shot for himself and his teammates. And I just think the Magic needed a lot of pieces, especially guards, and he fits pretty well there.
Yeah, I mean, as a Duke fan, watching him play against us, especially in that first matchup we had with UNC, he had like 20 points, was just able to get open at all times, and he could just knock down his mid-range shot like it's nothing. And also, yeah, he makes his teammates better around him. All right, at my fifth pick, this is an interesting one. I'm not as big on this one, but I just thought as a Duke fan, he deserves recognition. This is going to be Elijah Hughes from Syracuse. The Jazz took him with the 39th pick. He was all ACC team last year, averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 steal with an 82% free throw percentage, which is not to be slept on because a lot of guys come out of college with just brutal free throw percentages. Yeah, this guy is just a natural scorer. He can shoot lights out. He just carried that Syracuse squad for a few years, and when Duke played against him, it was just brutal. We had to double team him pretty much anytime he was out on the perimeter. He could just hit shots like it was nothing. Very clutch. Hit a lot of buzzer beaters. Hit a lot of daggers against us, and all over the ACC was just a nightmare. Deacon, you want to say your fourth steal?
Okay, so my fourth is actually going to be Nick's fifth. I have Cole Anthony. Like you said, he went number 15. He was probably supposed to go in the lottery, and like you said, the game against Duke. I mean, it was him. I remember watching that game. It was him and Trey Jones going back and forth, and I'm pretty sure it went to double overtime. I mean, I'm pretty sure Duke ended up winning because Trey Jones hit a game winner.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, he's an athletic guard. He can basically play defense and offense. I mean, he's kind of like a two-way guard, and I really liked him coming out of college. So I mean, he's a great ball handler. So that's my fourth steal.
Yeah, I actually believe that Duke game. So it went to the end of regulation. Trey Jones is at the free throw line, down 2. He chucks it off the rim, grabs the rebound on the perimeter, takes a few dribbles to the elbow. Drains the mid-ranger to send it to overtime. And then at the end of overtime, he ends up throwing up a three-pointer for the win. He misses it. Wendell Moore caught it right under the basket and just put it back in, and that was the game. It was insane. Just unbelievable game to watch. Probably top 5 college basketball game ever. I don't know. Some people aren't going to agree with that, but it was
even though I don't like him, I think probably I think this is the best college basketball game ever. It was probably the Villanova UNC game in 2016 where Chris Jenkins hit the game winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Arcidiacono, he's on the Bulls now. He's the GOAT. I mean, come on. All right, Nick, your turn.
Number 4, I have Precious Achiuwa from Memphis. He was probably at the end of the lottery, a little bit after the lottery, and he slipped all the way down to the 20th pick. And I think he landed in a perfect spot with the Heat. He's a high energy guy who plays really good defense. He's a great rim protector because he averaged almost 2 blocks at Memphis last year. And he's really athletic for his 6'9" size. He's a great rebounder because he averaged a double-double last year at Memphis. And I just think landing in Miami was just perfect for him. And they got him with the 20th pick.
Yeah, 100% agree. I loved him at Memphis last year. He did provide a lot of energy for them because losing James Wiseman so early in the year is a big demoralizer, and so he had to pick him back up. All right, my fourth is going to be Malachi Flynn, drafted to the Raptors with the 29th pick out of San Diego State. The reason I just had to include him because he has so much poise, so much determination. He's just a tough player. He led that San Diego State team to potentially a 1 or 2 seed if March Madness were to have happened. He could just shoot lights out as well. A very aggressive defender on the ball. Was just a great leader, and also had great shot selection. So he was you could always rely on him taking a good shot and having the ball in his hands. And yeah, I think the Raptors got a nice point guard here, especially if because at the time I don't think we knew if Fred VanVleet was coming or not, or coming back or not.
Yeah,
So
because he's agent.
yeah, nonetheless a great pick. And yeah, Deacon, you're up.
All right, so my third one is gonna be Tyrese Maxey, right? He went 21 to my Sixers, and this could have a little bit of bias putting him top 3. But if you watch him at Kentucky, a lot of people say, "Oh, he only shot 29% from 3." Well, if you look at his shooting like his 3-point percentage versus I think top or ranked opponents, he shot 42. So he plays better in bigger games, which is good.
Yeah.
And I think he's just an overall shot creator because he's really good at creating his own shot, and he's also like a high intensity defender. Like he reminds me of De'Aaron Fox, but I'd say like a more of a shot creating because De'Aaron Fox is more like drive to the hoop and then play defense. That's basically what De'Aaron Fox is. But with Maxey, he creates his own shot. He can, create like lanes for his teammates. I mean, Maxey can pretty much do it all offensively and defensively. So that's my third one.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. I mean, there's a lot of potential for him for sure. Nick?
All right, at number 3, I got RJ Hampton going to the Nuggets. Coming out of high school, he was a highly recruited player. He had a down season when he went overseas to play, but he's an athletic guy, has a high motor, really high shooting potential. He loves using the pick and roll, and I just think, even though he had a rough season last year, I think with the 24th pick, it's a great pick for Denver. I mean, yeah, they took an advantage on a guy.
Definitely a high risk, high reward type of pick. Or actually, no, sorry, low risk, high reward. Okay, I'll go now. My third steal of the draft is Daniel Oturu from Minnesota, drafted by the Clippers with the 33rd pick. Look, this guy was just an absolute beast in college. I mean, he was all Big Ten defense, averaged 20, 11, 2.5 blocks, and even shot 36.5% from 3. I mean, the guy is just a stud. He was just dominant in the paint on both ends. And actually his 3-point, the fact that he can shoot a 3-pointer can really space out the floor if you want to line him up in the corner. He's just a beast. I mean, he's going to be at the rim, protecting the rim, getting boards. You can score if you want. And I mean, the Clippers just lost Montrezl Harrell. I mean, not saying that he's going to come impact the Clippers the way Harrell did right away, but maybe in a few years we see Oturu becoming a player like Montrezl Harrell is. Deacon,
all right.
you're up.
So I'll go to my second one, and it's gonna be another Tyrese Halliburton. 7-foot wingspan. I mean, like physically wise, he has like I'd say like physical metrics to be a great NBA player. And I think, to be honest, the Knicks probably should have took him because even though Obi Toppin was a steal at 8, I think they really needed guard more than anything because they already had Julius Randle and they already had a lot of big men. Like what's the one guy they had?
They had Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, him. I mean, like he's young, so I think the Knicks really needed a guard more than anything, and him falling to the Kings at 12 just probably shows that Buddy Hield is probably not going to be there, at the end of the season. So I think him going 12th to the Kings was a pretty big steal.
Yeah, I completely agree. Buddy Hield wants out of Sacramento, and I think Tyrese was. I don't think they expected Tyrese to be there at the 12th pick, so obviously they snagged him. Nick?
All right, at number 2, I also had Tyrese Halliburton at number 2. I wasn't super high on the Bulls taking him at 4, But when he fell to 12, I mean, it's a no-brainer steal of the draft. He's a great playmaker who's extremely athletic, has great three-pointing potential, and I think he'll complement with De'Aaron Fox really well. The Kings just had to take him at 12 for sure.
Yeah, and what do you know? I also had Tyrese Halliburton at 2. Yeah, he's just really long, 7 foot something wingspan. He's very versatile. He can play pretty much anywhere from point guard to small forward. He's just a great playmaker, has great court vision. He gets his teammates open. He's pretty big for being a point guard if that's what they're going to have him play as. Great in transition, gets the offense going straight from the defense. A very team first guy, not selfish at all, and also just a great athlete. So yeah, Tyrese Halliburton all around. And Deacon, who is your number 1 steal of the draft?
My number 1 steal of the draft is Denny Avdia.
Avdia, yeah.
Now, a lot of people had him going 4th to the Bulls, which to be like, I thought the Bulls should have taken Denny, but I understand why they took Williams, mainly because of off potential, because he's the youngest player in the draft. So I'm guessing they wanted like a better. I mean, Denny is probably better right now, but I think in the future, I think Williams could turn out to be a pretty good player. But Denny Avdia, a lot of people kind of compared him to Luka Doncic, which like a guy that comes out of the Euro leagues it's a pure scorer. I mean, he's a lot like Luka. I mean, he's 6'8", pure scorer. I mean, he can shoot from wherever he wants basically. And I just think him going 9th, like I think to be honest, the Cavs could have also taken him, but they already had I mean, well, actually no, but he's my number 1 steal because I think based off of just talent and how NBA ready he is, him going 9th with how much potential he has is just insane. So he's my number 1 steal.
Yeah, definitely was not supposed to drop as far as he did. Originally, I did want him to go to the Bulls, but I am very happy that the Bulls did take Patrick Williams, and we'll actually talk about that after we complete our top 5. So, Nick, you're up.
I also have Denny Avdia at number 1. I think it's just crazy that he fell to the 9th pick because we were hearing rumors that the Warriors liked him potentially trading down, that the Bulls really liked him at 4, and he ends up going to the Wizards with the 9th pick. He's a tremendous playmaker, has great basketball IQ. He knows how to score. He knows how to find open teammates. He's got some attributes of Luka we've been hearing. And if he's even half the player of Luka, he's going to be a steal at the 9th pick.
Definitely. Okay. With my number 1 pick, or my number 1 steal in the NBA draft, this is going to be an interesting one. I actually took Precious Achiuwa as the number 1 steal. And here's why. I think he's just made for the NBA. Very athletic, can dribble the ball in transition, even as a 6'9" guy. Has a great handle, can get himself to the rim without help of his teammates. Just a lot of energy, a lot of intensity. He can be very good at the rim, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, playing like a center while also playing like a small forward. He's just long, energetic, can get to the basket, and I think he's going to be very good for the Heat. I think he's going to be a poor man's, maybe not a poor man's. He's going to be Bam Adebayo, but even more energetic, more athletic, more versatile. And yeah, I really like the pick. I think the way he played at Memphis was brilliant, and I think it'll translate to the NBA really well. So that was our top 5 steals of the NBA draft. Now let's talk about the Bulls taking Patrick Williams with the 4th pick. So Nick and I have talked about this a bunch. I love the pick because everyone will say, "Oh, well, he averaged 9 points in college. Oh, he never even started a game in college." I mean, it doesn't really matter. The Florida State Seminoles, they had 11 guys playing. Everyone was rotating in and out. Everyone pretty much playing around 20 to 15 minutes. And Patrick Williams, when he was on the court, was just very efficient, making everyone around him better, playing great defense, And his last 10 games, he actually averaged 13 points, 9 boards, and shot 43 something insane, 43% from the 3-point line. I think he has great potential. He's obviously a project. He still has a lot of work. But I think with him being the second youngest player in the draft, there's a lot of potential here. And I think, we've already seen the clips of him in the gym with Spencer Dinwiddie, Trae Young, Hassan Whiteside, all these NBA guys, and just he gets to the rim with ease. He has a great jump shot from the elbow that he uses a lot. He knocks that one down pretty much every time. I love the pick. I love the defense. I think he offers better shooting than Denny Advia does. And I think over a course of time, we could see Patrick Williams being potentially the best player in this draft. Any comments from you, Nick?
Yeah. So I think it was just a great pick for the main reason, his versatility. He can guard 1 through 5. He can post up Hassan Whiteside like you saw in the video clips. I think we took him for the potential. He's the second youngest player. We're gonna coach him to be one of the best players in the draft. Talking about Denny, I feel like we need a defense. We have a lot of scoring on this team. We need defense. We need versatility, and that's what Patrick Williams gives the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, as an outsider, not being a Chicago Bulls fan, what do you think of the pick, Deacon?
All right. So of course, when you're in the moment, you have different feelings, like, and emotions. So like it happens in every sport. Like when the Eagles took Rager, I wasn't mad, but I actually looked at Rager's stats and I looked at his tape and I saw what he does well. And I think basically the Bulls did that with Patrick Williams. I mean, like they basically drafted off of potential. And if I'm being dead honest, him and LaMelo Ball have, I'd say, the highest ceilings, because Patrick Williams, like you said, versatile, and being able to guard 1 through 5 is very important, because that's how LeBron is such a good defender, because he can he can guard the 1, guard the 2, guard the 3, guard the 4, guard the 5. LeBron can guard every single position, and having the ability to do that makes you an insanely useful defender. And not to mention, he's very athletic, very versatile. And in the moment, I didn't like the pick, but after hearing you guys said about how young he is, I think he's basically a project. I mean, it's a lot like Giannis. Giannis was a project, and I think he is really versatile, a lot like Giannis is. So I think if he can develop into being like the next Kawhi, then I think this is definitely a win for the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, I posted the video of our reaction to the pick onto TikTok, and obviously at the time, Nick was definitely not pleased. Nick was very upset we didn't take Denny. In the moment, I was like, okay, I get it. I really wanted Denny as well, but I wasn't as mad as a lot of people were. And then about 30 minutes after the pick happened, and I actually had some time to think about it, I think a lot of Bulls fans were just in love with it. I mean, you said it before I could. He has a lot of potential and a lot of similarities to Kawhi Leonard. So if he turns out to be Kawhi Leonard, I mean, obviously he's going to be the best player in the draft, which would just be incredible. I trust Arturas Karnisovas, the new president of basketball operations for the Bulls, with my life. Like, literally, the Bulls haven't had someone who we could trust to make the right signings, make the right trades, make the right draft picks in a long time. So I trust this man with a lot, especially seeing how successful the Denver Nuggets are after he built up that squad. And also, I got to mention Marko Simonovic, the guy we took in the second round. We stashed him, actually. So he's not going to come play with the Bulls for another 1 to 2 years. AK Arturas Karnisovas was the one who selected Nikola Jokic, and Marko Simonovic plays in the same exact league Jokic plays in currently, Montenegro. They have very similar stats. Jokic is like 1 point better, 1 rebound better. I mean, that might not even be right, but they're very similar. I mean, I'm not saying we drafted Kawhi and Jokic in the same draft, but there's a lot of potential here. I mean, Simonovic is playing right currently he's playing in the Montenegro League, and I get all the alerts on his stats, and night in night out he's getting 12 points, 15 boards, and that's just great to see as a Bulls fan that we have some high potential guys, which usually we're used to like Bobby Portis, which is just like he's an all right player now, but it's like it's nothing exciting.
Yeah, so the Bulls are a young team, and when you're a young team and you have a good coach like Billy Donovan that can really build a team and take it from like a rebuilding team to a playoff team, and I think Billy Donovan is the perfect coach for that. And if you have a young team, you draft based off potential, and you have a guy like Patrick Williams who has probably like top 3 potential in the draft. And then you have the one guy that you said like I can't pronounce his name, but you said like you brought up Jokic and how the stats are similar. So I think the Bulls, if these players pan out, then it's going to be great for the Bulls to have those 2 guys, on the team. So I think the Bulls basically just drafted off potential, basically.
Yeah, and we also signed undrafted free agent Devon Dotson after the draft. I know Nick loves
I
that
really
signing.
like that. I like that move.
Yeah, I know Nick loves that signing because he's a Kansas fan. Devon Dotson is a Chicago kid, grew up idolizing Derrick Rose. I think a lot of people expected him to go early second round, and Nick was telling me that it's believed that his agent just started calling teams after like the 45th pick and just said, "Hey, don't draft Dotson because he's going to sign with the Bulls, and that's what we want." So I think the Bulls just picked up Devon Dotson pretty much for free, and there's a lot of potential he could end up being our backup point guard by the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with Dotson, I feel like after like a certain amount of picks, he would rather choose where he wanted to play instead of going to a situation where he wouldn't be in the best spot. And with the Windy City Bulls, the G League team being in Chicago, he can go back and forth with that 2-way contract.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I think that's a great time to wrap it up. We talked for quite a while there, got a lot in. Yeah, that was really fun, Deacon. Guys, go follow Deacon. Your ad is, why don't you just say it?
Yeah, tingzz.sports with 2 Z's at the end.
Yes, tingzz.sports. Go follow him. He makes great content. Love all his videos. Yeah, this was great, Deacon. We'd love to have you on again. Yeah, that just flowed really well, and I'm pretty sure everyone's a little bit glad we're not covering drama because I think everyone had enough of that after a little bit. I think Scott has a lot of plans for this podcast, though. I think he wants to come on and expose some more people, which we'll see. We'll see where that goes.
I mean, like him. Who's the one kid that the one
Vinny,
kid that
Vinny Bat, yeah.
Yeah. So one time I was on my For You page and saw one of his videos, and I'm like, who is this kid? And then he's like some kid that's like obsessed with me, and then I go to this kid's profile, and he's like 8 years old or like 10. Like I don't even know. Like I had no idea. Like I was just dying laughing because Scott, who's like, how old Scott? Like 15. Who's arguing with this kid who's like 5 years younger than him. Like I don't even. It's just funny to me.
Yeah, Scott really wants to have both of them on the podcast, and I'm just a little reluctant because we all know Scott. Scott's not going to go easy on this little 10-year-old kid, so I'm thinking we're probably not going to do that. But
yeah,
I think people appreciate these type of podcasts, much more serious, much more just sticking to sports than the previous ones, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I actually like. the ones with Scott and Cole. I mean, I actually like those.
Yeah, I don't know if Vinny Bat's the direction we want to take this podcast, but all right. So I think that's a good time to wrap it up. Next episode, Nick, who should we have on next episode?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Maybe Jack the Yankees fan.
Maybe Jack. Maybe yeah, we could probably have Jack on. Why not? All right, Jack. If you're watching this, you're coming on the next podcast. We just made that decision. So yeah, guys, get pumped up for that. Deacon, once again, thank you for coming on. We'd love to do this again with you. And
yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, that was the 5th episode of Superfans Sports Spiel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys next episode.